adversaries taking note. We've got to get this resolved. I think there's some uncertainty that still remains, but it will be finalized here soon unless the court gets in the middle of it. So we'll see what they do in November. I hope they do the right thing, and I hope the president is allowed to continue what he's doing, because it is working for American taxpayers and American citizens everywhere.
Yeah, well, knowing him, I mean, he wants to build some factories. I don't blame him. He wants to build some factories. Fascinating. By the way, one of the hottest stock sectors in this massive stock market rally, which I think has a lot to do with Mr. Trump's pro-growth program, is industrials, old-fashioned manufacturing industrial companies. And Mr. Trump wants to have a level playing field, build some more here. So I think that's great. But I have a thought, sir. You know I like to weigh in with you every now and then. You have this tariff revenue surplus. As I say, it could be $300 billion for calendar year 2025. How about returning it to the taxpayers? What do you think of that, Speaker Johnson?
Well, there's a school of thought that says that's the best way to do it, but we've also got to manage the national debt. We need to pay that down as well. You and I both know it's a big national security threat to us right now, and we're looking to be responsible and good stewards of that taxpayer funding, and we can use that tariff revenue in a number of ways. But we're going through that. That's part of the process. Part of our small d democratic process is to have those debates and arguments, and ultimately we'll do the right thing. We're trying to keep steady hands on the wheel in the Congress to allow the president to keep doing and advancing these policies, and it is working for the American people. And that's why, you know, Larry, I'm very bullish about the midterm elections coming up in 2026, because people are going to feel the positive effects of all these pro-growth policies. Everything we did in the One Big Beautiful Bill, the working families tax cuts, and all the rest, we're doing right by the people. We're fulfilling our promises, and they'll feel that, and I think they'll reward it.
You get your blue-collar bloom, sir. You get your blue-collar boom. You're going to defy history and pick up seats next year. That's just some Kudlow thinking.
That's right.
All right. Speaker Mike Johnson.
I like it.
Thank you, sir.
You know, that's actually the interesting idea, is that we're kind of seeing the opposite of a blue-collar boom right now. So Larry Kudlow asked Speaker Mike Johnson, hey, you know, what do you think about stimulus checks? And what do you think about the Supreme Court making a ruling on tariffs? And Mike Johnson literally says, well, the Supreme Court should stay in their lane and stay out of tariffs. You know, tariffs are the responsibility of Congress. Wait a second. Then why is the president issuing the tariffs? So what you're basically saying is the Supreme Court can't talk about tariffs because that's not in their lane. It belongs in Congress's lane. But wait a minute. Why is the president doing it? That means he's out of his lane. Because the Supreme Court isn't going to rule on tariffs. The Supreme Court is going to rule on whether or not Trump is in his lane or out of his lane. Mike Johnson just conveniently doesn't mention that, mind you. But understand, we're not going to hear anything from the Supreme Court for a while anyway. The Supreme Court might hear arguments.
It's a good point.
In November on tariffs, but they're not actually going to issue any kind of ruling until like February or maybe as late as June of next year, because that's what they do. They hear their arguments, and then up to 3 to 6 months later is when you actually get a ruling, which means Trump's tariffs are basically just going to continue probably for another 6 to 9 months from now, which means there's not going to be relief from the Supreme Court on tariffs. In addition to that, you have Mike Johnson asked about, hey, what do you think about returning some of that extra tariff money to taxpayers? To this, he says, well, we want to be mindful of the debt. We're considering this. Trump has mentioned this, right? Trump has mentioned a potential rebate. New York is doing inflation refund checks. California did inflation refund checks. It's possible. Does it seem probable before midterms? I'd put it at like a 30% chance. Because, see, Larry Kudlow says if you have a blue-collar boom, you will win midterms hands down. But the problem is, the blue-collar workers are suffering. Most Americans are suffering. There's not a great economy for most people. When the top 10% of Americans make up about 50% of all consumer spending, basically it's the rich who are driving everything. There's a reason why Chipotle and cheesecake stocks are going down, just as an example, because people are spending less money in these stores. I mean, look at some of the actual data. Chipotle, when you look at the revenue number, the top line revenue number, up 3% year over year. But wait a minute, that's only because they added stores. They added more lemonade stands. When you actually look at the numbers, you see.
And you know what stocks benefit the
For the
most
existing
from
stores you
top
had,
income
existing
earner
stands you had, your sales are actually
spending?
down 4%. You're forecasting flat
real
sales
estate
while also adding stores.
stocks.
What does this mean? People are out of money. Rich people can only eat so many burritos. You don't need more rich people buying burritos. You need more people, more Americans buying burritos. And when people start suffering, they
Let's
stop
do a breakdown right now on
spending
that.
$18 on a damn.
This is Sam Putnam.
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 There's one stock that is about to skyrocket. If you love Opendoor, this is the next stock to get in before it goes up. The stock is Offerpad, OPAD, OPAD. They are very similar to Opendoor. They haven't gone from 2 to 10 yet. And there's a lot of momentum within the past 5 days that we can see on the chart. Let's take a look at the chart and make sure we get in at the right time at the right price. Here it is. So, this is what we're talking about here. Already up 400%. Okay? But importantly, did have a pullback here, and it's sort of been rejecting this $5 level up until it looks like yesterday, Friday, we're pressing it again. If it can break 5 on Monday, or if you see this later on the week, this has a lot of blue skies up, up, up towards all of the space that it has to fill going back to 2022 when every stock went down. If you look at Opendoor, it's pretty similar, okay? And this is the kind of potential you could see in Offerpad. The volume is insane. $60 billion, okay, in a single day. Offerpad is not even close to that level. It's maybe less than a tenth of that. So let's take a look at exactly what we want to look at going back in the past year to make sure that you catch this, okay? This is the left side peak very clearly at $5, and the next level up is that 660 level, which, what do you know, hit right here. So if you get in around 5, risk 4, make 4, 5, 10, $20, that's the name of the game. Volume is drying up, which we like to see before a breakout. Now, what does Opendoor do? I think that's a reasonable question. Any type of financial analyst, commentator would think that's a reasonable question. Well, they do the same thing that Opendoor, Offerpad does the same thing as what Opendoor does. They have a bunch of revenue. 150 million is reasonable. They've sold about 500 homes, and they have some cash in the bank. This is significant, okay? They raised 20 million. For their size company, a $5 stock, that's a big deal. Trades about a couple 100 million shares, so like high hundreds of millions, into the billions per day of dollars per day. So there's plenty of liquidity for you to take however many shares you want, unless you have more than $100 million that you are trading with. If you put more than $50 million into this, I don't know what to say to you, but if you're under that threshold, this is fine. This is liquid enough for you. They have solid revenue projections, and I know everyone says that they're going to make more money and it's going to be in this financial engineering type accounting. Don't worry about that. All we really have to do is say, what's the sentiment right now? And the sentiment is obviously people are excited about Opendoor, and now they're looking for the next stock to buy. Okay, we're not surprised they're still losing money. We know that, they might be slowing down in home sales, but that could be seasonal, okay? More people buy houses in the summer. So all I really want to know is how close is Offerpad to Opendoor? And we know that Opendoor has been running, exploding in stock price based on appointing Shopify's former COO as its new CEO. And then their co-founders are, this guy is a big deal in the venture world, Keith Rabois, Khosla Ventures, which Vinod Khosla is the founder of. This is also a big deal, getting a 40 million investor from them. And we're seeing it in the stock price. Okay, Opendoor has gone up way more than 80% in the past couple of weeks. In the last few days, it's even gone up. So we know that there's risks with these companies, okay? Zillow could crush them. There could be news that's negative, but we don't really need to work on that type of timeline because we know this is a meme stock type play. We know they could dilute. Offerpad has an agreement with Jefferies to sell up to $100 million of shares, and that's probably an at-the-market agreement. So they're going to sell shares into retail buying the stock. We know that, but as long as the price holds early next week and goes over that $5 level, the buying activity can definitely exceed this type of dampening selling pressure on the stock. Remember, 6 billion shares a day of Opendoor were, well, $6 billion worth, almost $1 billion worth of shares per day are being traded of Opendoor. So there's plenty of money pouring in to make this keep going up, even if they're selling stock into some of the buyers, okay? So the company wins because they're diluting the stock, okay? They're issuing more stock, which means they're raising money. The retail investors win because the stock's going up, and the only person who's really losing is someone who doesn't buy Opendoor, okay? Do you want to buy it up here? Nope. I would say you probably want to buy the one that hasn't gone up yet. So that's pretty much the whole play in a nutshell. We could look at exactly the comparisons in detail, but that's not really the kind of investing we're doing right now, okay? Could this become a Zillow? Could this become a SoFi? SoFi is a little bit different because they do lending, but it's also, lending is tied in with real estate, so it's pretty similar. I think we just have to keep watching. We don't have to do any sort of crazy analysis. All we have to do is look at this chart and say, if this stays above $5, it's a buy. Do you sell it if it goes down a little bit? Sure. Okay. You want to have a small risk. It moves 18% a day over the last 10 days. I mean, we can see that just on this day alone. This is a 20+% move, okay? So it's speculative. Sometimes we do those on this channel. A lot of the time we look at stocks that are a little more safe, a little bit better to throw some money in and hold it there for at least a week or a month, ideally 3 months to longer. If you want to talk about those stocks, which we do talk about, we just talk about Opendoor type stocks too, because that's what people want to learn about. They're very timely. Head over to stockscommunity.com. It's $25. You can sign up for 7 days. We can chat there. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you in the next one, and watch Offerpad.
This is Sam Putnam.
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 Let's get back to Kevin here.
And burrito. The same problem is happening at the Cheesecake Factory. And look at Cheesecake Factory. They bring 5.7 cents of every dollar to the bottom line. That's terrible. Their comp sales growth is anemic at 1.2%. If we go into a recession, there will not be a blue-collar boom. You will end up seeing companies like Cheesecake go bankrupt, which is crazy to say. But Cheesecake just took out somewhere around, it was about $500 million in debt in the last quarter just to try to float their expenses. They have about $250 million in available cash right now with, about twice that in bills to pay. You got about $500 million in bills to pay. They got $250 million in available cash. So they don't even have enough money to pay for their bills right now. Their free cash flow is about $30 million in 6 months. So every month you're growing your available cash by about $5 million. But where does that get you at the end of the year? Nowhere close to 500 mil. So Cheesecake either needs to sell some stock or raise some more debt because they're out of money and their business is not profitable enough to actually generate enough capital. Because by raising prices, their comp sales and Chipotle. Now, look at a company like Dave & Buster's. Dave & Buster's decides, we're going to raise prices so much by investing in a fancier restaurant setup and, more TVs or LED walls or whatever. But what ends up happening? They raise the prices of the experience of going to Dave & Buster's so much that people stop showing up as much. And so what's happened to Dave & Buster's stock? Well, Dave & Buster's stock, since the beginning of the year, has fallen off a cliff. Dave & Buster's stock is now trading for less than $20 per share. This is a sign of a company that thought, hey, we'll do well if we blow a bunch of money on capital expenditures while raising prices on people. But people are revolting. People get pissed. The very blue-collar people that Larry Kudlow is talking about are pissed. And so they stop going out. So sales go down. This is not a surprise. Any consumer business that's reliant on more people coming rather than the wealth of that person suffers, and we may already be in a recession. Now, we won't know until after the fact. The stock market certainly isn't going to forecast a recession. We're all-time highs on everything. The stock market is kicking butt. A stock that we bought at IPO just in the last month is up over 25%, and we sent that to course members. It IPOs, it's up over 25%. Still today, still rising today. It was up like 5% today. Of course, you want all those calls, make sure you're part of the Meet Kevin membership over at meetkevin.com. But remember, these companies aren't reliant on more rich people who can spend money on big things. They're reliant on more people showing up. And I get it. Dave & Buster's thought, hey, if we put some big LED walls into I filmed this with my meta glasses, into our properties and remodel with wood paneling or whatever, we'll be able to make more money. But then you sit down and you realize that a Dave & Buster's quality ribeye is going to cost you $35. And they're going to charge you for kids' sodas because they raise prices on everything. And the damn Down the Clown machine that is literally part of the experience as to why you're going there is damaged to where the stupid machine doesn't even work right. Because long and short of it, basically, we are still able to win because we know the trick of first of all, okay, we realize the machine's damaged. We'll just re-strategize a little bit. But the little bar that sets up the top guys just goes up and down 3 times. So we kind of have to delay when we go for the top row again because it goes up and down 3 times because it's broken. It's glitched out. It doesn't realize that the clown's already up. But much like the economy for poor folks right now, it's all a giant clown show. And so, are we actually going to get stimmies? Certainly not before the Supreme Court makes a decision on tariffs.
Okay, let's raise the bar and try to win in the stock market.
This is Sam Putnam.
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 If you saw Tesla's massive move in the past 2 weeks when Elon bought $1 billion of stock, you want to look at this tiny battery company. The ticker is SLDP, Solid Power, and they are funded by the Department of Energy. Let's take a look at the chart and make sure we are ready to take advantage of this at levels that make sense. Here we go. Here is the chart. It's a $4 stock. It's going to break $5 soon, in my opinion. However, the reason we're able to buy it here is it's so close to this higher low that you can risk 50 cents and make a few dollars, potentially $5 to $10. This is the huge next level, that $10 SPAC level to look out for. In the past 6 months, it has been going mostly up. This tiny stock went up after the tariff rebound and didn't stop. I don't know a better spot to buy it than right now, where you can risk off of a level down here. It's not like some type of company that I did recommend, but is a little bit of a different opportunity. CoreWeave, the NVIDIA backed AI infrastructure company, where you have to risk based off of the previous day or the day before that. With Solid Power, you're risking off of about a week to 10 days ago, which means if you walk away from your phone, your computer, your laptop, you go on a vacation, you go on a work trip, you don't check your portfolio, this is safer than CoreWeave to buy. So let's jump into what this stock does and make sure we understand a little bit about what we're buying if you choose to buy it. This is the company's partnerships. BMW and Ford are developing the solid state battery technology with Solid Power. They also have funding from the DOE for this specific type of electrolyte capacity. I don't know what that is. I don't think it matters for buyers of this stock. What we do know is that this is the huge industry. Self-driving cars, electric cars, those are going to be one and the same, most likely in the next 5 to 10 years, if not the next couple years, depending how this Tesla Austin rollout goes. They are the picks and shovels for these electric vehicles, which is great because a pick and shovel you can repurpose to just making batteries. They might be used to smooth out the electric grid, so you can have solar and wind intermittent power sources being charged, recharging these batteries, and these batteries being connected to the grid. So they have multiple use cases. And this is where some of the R&D grants are likely to be grabbed up by Solid Power in the future. Are there some challenges? Of course. This is a big competitor, QuantumScape, but if you look at QuantumScape's chart, this is not a company that you want to buy right now. It already went up. So that's actually a reason to buy Solid Power, because it hasn't made a move like QuantumScape yet. Besides, QuantumScape's up 200% since April, and most importantly, 80% in the last month. Solid Power is up an insane amount since April, okay? But in the last month, you can see it's only up maybe 10%. We can see it visually on the chart. We can verify it with our tool, whatever broker or charting software you use. This is the buy right now in batteries. I don't know that you exactly need to know all of these development agreements like you would see on a Bloomberg terminal. I just know that there is a lot of money in automotive batteries. There's a lot of government interest as well, and partnerships with universities and laboratories that are government funded. So we have plenty of funding coming into this company. The only question is this going to be the horse that wins the race? Are they going to expand internationally? All we can really do is wait for news to come out and make sure we keep an eye on Tesla and QuantumScape. I don't know that you have to be too zoned in on understanding the scientific battery technology. You can if you want to, but this is a long-term play. If you're going to try to hold this stock for 5 years, you want to look into how important developing really efficient electrolyte battery materials is. I don't know how important it is. There are other stocks that have a lot of retail interest right now. I think Solid Power is a little bit under the radar, which means it's a little safer than buying a stock like Offerpad, which could make a move like Opendoor, but which could also pull back, like how some of these stocks do pull back, okay? Solid Power, when it pulls back, it does, but it seems to be holding up a little bit better, and you can see that in its average daily range, which is only about 10% compared to some of these other companies that are similarly priced but have a range of more like 20% per day. So that's how to pick the stock that's right for your risk appetite. If you like these ideas, head over to stockscommunity.com. We can talk stocks. We can pick a stock that's right for you, and you can get help from other people who are already in the community as well and connect with one another. Try it out. It's $25 for 7 days. See if it's worth it. If you haven't subscribed yet to this channel, hit that subscribe button. I will see you in the next one, and be on the lookout for news on battery technology.
This is Sam Putnam.
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 Let's jump into some more Kevin news.
Johnson says they need to stay in their lane, and you know what? They probably will, because the Supreme Court is a majority of Republicans, and they'll probably side with Donald Trump, and we'll have tariffs for a while. But you're not going to get any kind of stimulus before a Supreme Court decision, because all that money might have to get repaid back if tariffs are deemed illegal. So you can't pay out money that you might have to pay back. So it has to be liability-free money. Then, right before midterms, you better hope this economy soft lands if Republicans are supposed to stay in power. Because if this economy does not soft land, and the economy doesn't start getting better for everyday Americans, then Republicans are going to lose in midterms. That will show up in data. That will show up in polling data. And will actually contribute to the potential of getting stimulus checks next summer. Because I think Republicans are going to go, crap, if the economy doesn't get better, we have to do something to get people to vote for us. Quick, checks! It could happen. That's why I put it at a 30% chance, because I think there's a good chance the vast majority of our consumer economy is already in a recession. Financial markets don't want to hear that but they're not pricing it in at all. So, I mean, the problem though with stimulus is, you always risk creating inflation, but that, came out of COVID because we printed so much money. I think the bigger issue is deflation, not inflation.
We'll try a little advertising and see how it goes. Congratulations, man. You have done so much. People love you. People look up to you.
Let's jump into a student review here.
Meet Kevin. Always great to get your take.
From Invest with Corey.
So today we are here with one of my newest students, Xander. How you doing, Xander?
I'm good.
Awesome. Glad to hear. You've been in Discord for just a very short month, and it's been a wild ride. How long have you been investing for in the stock market? What got you into options and trading originally?
Investing in the stock market start of the year, and I never really did options, honestly, until I joined your Discord. But I had a buy and hold account that I was doing, and honestly, I just watched your YouTube videos, and your YouTube videos alone helped me like so much. much that I'm like, I have to join the Discord and give some support back. You know what I mean? And it was just unbelievable once I joined.
Awesome. So like, because you joined, what do you think stood out to you the most about me versus other YouTubers, or what made you want to join me more than others?
Yeah, so when I was watching other YouTubers, they were really pushing a certain like mode of saying like, oh, you're gonna make $1 million, like over 500,000 with such a small account, and pushing so many numbers that just seems so unrealistic. Where you seem to push like a more focused strategy and actually explain stuff more to the point instead of just pushing the Discord. And it just made me pick yours over everyone else's. You didn't try and give unrealistic expectations, right? You actually gave a focused and clear strategy to how we would make money.
Awesome. I'm glad to hear. And that is the goal. I've always wanted to over deliver and under promise, which is the key. As far as your options journey, what were some of the challenges that you've had along the way, and what did you originally start with?
So I originally started with $12,000 when I joined your Discord. I never done options before that, and it's kind of crazy what I'm at now. From $12,000 just a month in your Discord, I'm at just over $104,000. So just unbelievable, life-changing money. It's just crazy.
Wow. So you went from 12,000 over 104,000 in 1 month in the Discord.
Yeah, just unbelievable. Like, I couldn't believe it when I did around 9 trades, and just the amount of success that your trades were and so accurate. It was like 9 out of 9 trades, 104,000 from 12. I couldn't thank you more. It's just been awesome.
Awesome. That is amazing success. And in 1 month, that is like a 10x return, which is
1,000%. Yeah, over 1,000% I made in 1 month just from your strategies and just from what you've put out in the Discord.
So obviously I'm going to ask this question because this is what a lot of people are going to be wondering, is based on what it costs you to join and what you've made and the group itself and just overall the education I provide, is it worth it?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, people need to understand that your Discord community is insane. I made, in the span of a month, I'm pretty sure I made 12 new friends that have just been helping me and explaining to me trades that I haven't even thought about taking that were put out from you, and just explain the trades and give me an overall better understanding of how your Discord works. And if anybody's thinking of joining the Discord, 100%, please go through those training modules. They're step by step, and obviously they'll learn at your pace. So if you can't do it some days, it's okay. But those training modules really gave me a baseline of how to actually do the options and how to take Corey's trades. And once I got to the module, I got through it in the week. I just destroyed them all. I love learning. After that, I started.
Friendship's what it's all about. Let's jump into a breakdown.
This is Sam Putnam.
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 There's one stock that is about to skyrocket, in my opinion. Trump just signed an executive order that is very positive for drones. It helps them move towards Federal Aviation Administration FAA certification, and the stock prices of these drone companies have reflected that optimism. There's one drone company, RCAT, that hasn't gone up yet. Let's take a look at the stock chart and what the company does so we can evaluate if we want to buy it or not. This is not financial advice, but I have to say this stock looks interesting. Here we go. This is the chart. It's about a $10 stock right now, and it just keeps forming higher lows here in the past year. It did come down on that tariff news like every other company and rebounded excellently. It's almost a double since then, and there's a couple left side peaks at 1250 and then down at 1120, which are very important to use as risk. If it can get through those pivots, that's very bullish for the stock. You can use them as a stop out point, or you can buy it sooner and use this $10 level as a stop out point, which goes all the way back to somewhere in early January, right around the beginning of the tariff drop. But look, we're way beyond tariffs right now. We're in a bullish market environment, and there's 3 type of pieces of information that are driving this optimism. chiefly, okay, small drones are being reclassified as consumables, okay? That helps RCAT and makes it easier to get certified and to get the government to buy these drones, which is an awesome customer to have. There are executive orders favoring Made in America purchases, and I think RCAT is moving to align its strategy in that vein. We don't know exactly how much of their supply chain is in the US, but we know that that company is already moving based off of this news. This was the news right here. And I think there's a lot more upside price appreciation to be had. UMAC is just getting started. It did have quite a move and didn't come back, which means it's harder to buy right now, which is why we're talking about RCAT in this video. And KTOS just went and didn't stop, okay? So there's a reason this is the interesting play right now coming into Monday. And this third reason is pretty useful as well. They have secured some contract wins through this program, and it's great to have those high certainty government contracts. So what else can we say about RCAT besides analyst targets, which are well above the current price, because we know how positive analysts are. We don't have to look into what they're saying in depth. We can instead say, what are they actually doing? Okay. And it's safe to say that announcing these contract wins makes it a safer buy. Launching new divisions that are, they better be focused on US based components, but you have to say the main issue with any type of small company like this is, are they going to sell stock into retail investors? And the answer is yes, they are. They did raise about $100+ million, almost $200 million through a public offering, okay? This is normal with these small companies, but those are the type of downward stock movement, price movements that you have to be aware can happen. I don't know that that's going to happen soon, and we can get an idea of that right here. If we take a look at its recent capital raises, if a stock recently raised, it's less likely to raise in the near future, okay? And if we look at the dates here, this is pretty recent. 2 years ago, 2 days ago, I mean to say, they raised $60 million, okay? And it had been months since they've raised that again. So buying the stock today or the next week, the likelihood of them dropping another offering that lowers the stock price because they're selling stock, so that creates more supply, which means it outweighs the demand, so the price has to go down. That likelihood is relatively low, okay? It looks like they raise about every couple months. Could they just sell stock directly into the market at any time? They might be able to, but they currently don't have a registered at the market offering filing to do so. So that's actually bullish. This is a small number of convertible notes, and if we look higher, way higher, we can see the float is actually relatively high, 100 million, and they've got cash. That's bullish. Of course, we do have these warrants, which they're above that price right now. So even if these warrants are exercised, this is about 1 million warrants. That's not going to make a dent in the $100 million that are available to trade. Okay? And these warrants aren't registered. So I think this is a pretty solid buy. We're seeing low overhead supply on the chart and based on where those warrants are below the current stock price. I can't think of a better drone play to take a look at right now. This is the chart. We looked at dilution risk. We looked at how they're not funded by the government on an ongoing basis, but they have received funding from the government, okay? The Department of Energy did fund them. This level is super clear, $10. This next level up around 12 is super clear. And once they get over 15, that is a blue sky opportunity. So that's the extent of depth that this YouTube video really ought to go into. If you want to talk more, you can head over to stockscommunity.com, talk about any stock. I will be in there and you can try it out for $25 for 7 days. If you think that's worth it, head over, give it a shot. You'll see a couple testimonials on there. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Keep an eye on drone stocks.
This is Sam Putnam.
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 This is Sam Putnam.